WNY News Now election coverage.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now with special live election coverage. I'm Justin Gould. Tonight, we are tracking several high-profile races from across Chautauqua County and our region, as your vote will have a major impact on local races here in the city of Jamestown, at the Chautauqua County level, and at many town and municipal levels around our area. This evening, we have special team coverage blanketing all of Chautauqua County. But first, I want to start with our crew in studio, where our political correspondent and analyst Rory Polero joins us back live in studio tonight. And of course, WNY News Now's Matt Hummel live from the newsroom, where he'll be taking down races. Rory, I first want to start with you. Welcome back to the studio. It's great to have you here for such an important tradition as we are keeping track for the folks of, their vote really counts. And tonight we're hopefully going to have some results in many of these high-profile races countywide.
Well, we always say this is our World Series, our Super Bowl, because we're all political junkies. Yeah. It's great to be back. I can thank COVID for me missing a lot of the time. But we beat it, and we're back where we belong. And I think it's going to be interesting. And I think there are a couple of issues that we're going to examine tonight that may impact who gets elected and who doesn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, Matt, we've been covering that for the past 6 months or more now, where you really have this global pandemic, the tail end of it, that impacts a lot of issues, specifically when we look at the county executive race, for example, and the handling of the pandemic. I know his opponent, Norm Green, Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell's opponent, has been pretty critical of that.
You're right about that, Justin. We have seen that, and really it wasn't until the last month where Mr. Green was hammering that point home. I mean, the question that I have personally is, how, and I don't think this was really answered, correct me if I'm wrong, but could Mr. Wendell handle it better? I mean, I guess that's up to the voters, of course, today, but yeah, that was definitely one of the big issues. And really, if you think about it, the pandemic isn't quite over yet. So if Mr. Green was to win tonight, what kind of changes would he make? Just to piggyback off of what Rory said, tonight's elections could have a big impact on policy moving forward.
Yeah, and that's the big ticket question of the night.
I think the point, Matt, that you and I probably agree on here is, the question is, would Wendell have done anything differently? And the other question is, okay, Mr. Green, what would you have done? Right. And that brings me to whether there is a mandate issue in the election or a Biden-Cuomo coattail, in that the county did what the state said to do. So if it was bad management by Wendell, could you argue it was bad management by Cuomo too? Frankly, on social media and the people I've talked to, the one who comes out with the best leadership scores on this is Christine from the health department.
Right. Yeah.
She should probably ran, because she got, everybody I talked to said, boy, she's on the ball. And so I think those are issues, though. How would Mr. Green have handled it differently? What would he have done other than go along with what the state said to do?
Yeah, and I know they discussed that during the debate a few weeks ago that we had with WRFA. And I still think there's more to be said in that department. Yes. In the fact that when you're playing armchair quarterback, you really can't go back in time and rerun it as if, Norm Green was in that position. So, gentlemen, we will check back in with you as the night goes on. And again, for folks who are tuning in, you still have time to vote. Polls are open until 9 o'clock. If you head on over to WNYNewsNow.com, we have where and when you can vote, and a lot more information on that as well. And of course, once 9 o'clock comes, I know, Matt, you'll be watching the dump, so to speak, of early voting data that will be popping up on that board behind you, and we'll keep everybody updated. But in addition to our expert team providing analysis here in studio, we also have an expert team of journalists and reporters who are out on location location right now. Our Bronson Rasmussen is live in Mayville this evening, just stepping out of camera there. Good to see you, Bronson. But first, let's check in with our Julia Gress, who's live in the city of Dunkirk as she's watching the Democratic candidates party. And Julia, it looks like people maybe are starting to fill in there.
Yep, we're just starting to get some people filtering in for what's looking to be an exciting race. Like you guys mentioned before, we're closely watching the county executive race here between incumbent PJ Wendell and challenger Norm Green. We're starting to get some political signs in here, some people who are clearly for one candidate, so it's looking like it's going to be a really exciting evening, Justin.
Anything in particular that you're watching this evening?
Like I said, we're watching that county executive race and all the executive and Democratic races. We're looking at, we're going to be talking to Sally later. We'll be talking to PJ Wendell. We'll be talking to Norm Green when they get here. So we'll let you know as soon as we know more.
Yeah, that's Julia Gress. Julia, thank you. Let's now go to Bronson Rasmussen, who's standing by for us live in Mayville with the Republicans tonight. Good evening, Bronson.
Good evening, Justin. Here we are in Mayville waiting for more people voting. Just showing up now. PJ Wendell entered. We're about to get him just talk to us for a minute. But the main feeling that we're getting here is a lot of nervous people just waiting for that final hour of voting to show up to see what the results actually are and if they won or not.
Yeah, and I know it's still very early because obviously a lot of these races still have yet to be called because people can still actively vote on those races. And many of the folks who are at your site, because Chautauqua County is primarily at the county level Republican controlled, we have the executive, we have the county clerk's race. A lot of them are incumbents, so they worked today, and now they're kind of filtering into that late night political life. So we'll certainly want to continue to monitor your spot throughout the evening. And then as soon as you can, please let us know once you're able to talk with Executive Wendell. We'll love to poll him here on the broadcast as the night goes on. Bronson, thank you very much. And there is a lot more to come this evening, including as we look back and we break down the debate that we had a few weeks ago between those candidates for Chautauqua County Executive. That was a big night for both men as they had a chance to speak directly with the voters. We look back at that as WNY News Now's election coverage continues. Stay with us.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first. With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you...
And welcome back to WNY News Now election coverage as we break down some of the top races from across our county. And one of the biggest races of the night will likely be the race for office of county executive, where incumbent Republican candidate PJ Wendell is facing off Democratic challenger Norm Green, who knows quite a bit about elections, as he comes from the Board of Elections office himself as the former election commissioner here in our county. The two had a chance to face off in a debate a few weeks ago. Our Julia Gress was there and breaks it down.
In all cases, I have been a person that watches the budget, make sure that that spending is done as it should be.
Explained Democrat Norm Green, a former election commissioner who highlighted his past experience as Ellicott Town Councilman, where the budget did not increase the entire 4 years he spent in the position. Current County Executive PJ Wendell assured voters that strong, proven leadership is the path forward, as he highlighted accomplishments in his 14 years as an elected official.
Under my leadership, we have met the challenges of COVID, reinvented how we do business, and provided our residents with a lean and efficient county government. Last year, I spoke of fiscal responsibility. We accomplished that with a sound, fiscally responsive county budget for the second year in a row, providing tax relief.
Green suggested that Wendell's lack of guidance during the pandemic contributed to the 200 COVID-related deaths in the county.
We had a county executive by leadership failure, telling people wearing a mask is an option. It's a personal choice. Getting vaccinated is a personal choice. You know, you need to have a leader that tells you, hey, everybody, we need to get vaccinated. You need to mask up. We need to protect our citizens. Didn't have it.
Green also claims that under Wendell's leadership, the county's population has declined, while poverty rates have climbed.
1 out of 5 people in Chautauqua County is living in poverty. And we need to do something about it. We need to redirect the leadership in the county.
Wendell says this has been the case since 2014.
What we need to do is ask our children and ask ourselves, why are we telling our kids to leave? Why are we having these problems? And then we need to correct those problems. We have jobs here in Chautauqua County.
Additionally, the candidates were asked how they would allocate money from the American Rescue Plan and opioid settlement. Both agreed that the best use of the opioid settlement funds is to combat addiction by creating more space at rehab centers. However, they differed on the use of ARPA funds.
ARPA monies are being funneled to a way that we share them with everybody, and people across the county are being helped. If, for example, $360,000 are being spent on 2 pieces of detection equipment in the jail, what is that going to do? It's going to prevent overdoses and prevent drugs and contraband from getting in to our jails.
Green noted that Wendell failed to mention the $8 million, roughly 1/3 of the ARPA money, is allocated for sewage treatment lines along Chautauqua Lake, which he believes will not substantially increase water quality. Julia Gress, WNY News Now.
Yeah, certainly interesting. And I know the lake is a really big topic. And gentlemen, the county has tried for so long to tackle these issues. It almost seems like no one person can get the job done.
Well, I think years ago, Mr. Carlson, who lived in Celeron and owned the boat livery down there, used to say, bring back the paddle boats, run them through Celeron, get all that garbage lifted up out of the mud and the ground, and it'll come back. But they thought he was an old coot and didn't listen to him, and it turned out biologists later on said he was right, but where's the money to do it?
Right. And they've been trying to chop that issue, and I know Wendell, Matt, specifically modified former county executive, now state Senator George Borrello's memorandum of understanding, and he is trying to make forward progress with that. But as we mentioned there, in that debate package, it's still something that to this day they're going to be talking about.
Well, one of the things I hear about the lake from, I'm a fisherman, where I attempt to be, and I know a lot of anglers that I talk to say, look, unless you own property on the lake or you have a boat, it's a private lake. Right. And I think you'd get more public support if there was more public access to the water.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another big topic that they discussed during that debate, obviously, is how the county plans to allocate their ARPA funding. And I know specifically one of the big issues that was brought up by some city mayors is the fact that it kind of excludes the city of Jamestown and city of Dunkirk. However, both of those municipalities did receive sizable amounts. I believe Jamestown received even more than the county did.
Absolutely, Justin, you're correct there. And that's been a big thing. Like you said, that's been talked about over the last couple of months. With Norm Green, as a matter of fact, he's been beating that drum, like you said. Well, how come the cities aren't getting, that big allocation? But remember, there is no final plan. That's got to be something that the legislature has to discuss over the next month, and they still have some time to figure out where they want to put that money. So things could change. Don't let the initial reaction from lawmakers be the final course.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So we will see, and we will see what issues I think were most important to these voters too, as we go throughout the night, obviously, in response to do they agree with the tenure of those who are currently in office, incumbent-wise, or do they feel that some new blood should be there? Coming up, we're going to take a closer look at some of the races, specifically here in Jamestown. I know, Matt, you've been tracking fairly closely in regards to incumbents for Jamestown City Council. We'll take a look at that race when we come back. You're watching live election night coverage here on WNY News Now.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza. Yes.
Make a plan today.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working.
I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Okay, got my shot. Thank you.
And welcome back to WNY News Now, live election night coverage. You're looking live at the Beer Schnob here in downtown Jamestown, where city Democrats are gathering to watch the live election results, which will be coming up at 9 o'clock in probably just about 40 minutes or so. And of course, we'll bring that to you live as we get it. And one of the big things tonight, gentlemen, is the race for city council, specifically for city council at large, which could have a big impact on the majority on the council seat. I know, Matt, you previously looked into that with Council President Tony Dulce, who very well could just go back to Councilman Tony Dulce. Even though tonight he's running unopposed, there is some skepticism. If the Democrats were to win the majority, he would likely lose the council president's seat, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I mean, here's the breakdown here for those who may not know. So, like you said, Mr. Dulce is running unopposed, so he's going to retain his seat on council. But here's where it gets really interesting. First, before we get to the at-large, Justin, I want to discuss what's happening with the regular wards. So in Ward 3, you have Regina Brackman, the incumbent. She replaced the late Victoria James for her seat there in Ward 3. She will face Robert Reedy, who's a local businessman and Republican. So if she was to retain that seat, and Marie Karuba was to retain her seat in Ward 4, which is likely, that's going to start the ball rolling here for the Democrats, because in Ward 5, Grant Olson, a Republican and incumbent, chose not to move forward with his campaign. So that means Doug Lawson will likely retain that, or rather gain that seat. Then, if Tom Nelson gets Ward 6, there's a potential, Justin, right there, that the Democrats will have the wards, and then really all they need is one at large, and they'll have that majority. So, yeah. Justin, the Republicans have their work cut out for them tonight, but as we've seen in the last couple of at-large elections, things can change rather quickly.
Oh yeah, and this really is the toss-up race, which is why I think it's so important to highlight, where you have a number of two incumbents, Kim Eklund and Jeff Russell, who I think Eklund, it's fair to say, she's a pretty strong incumbent. Russell, I would say as well. I mean, I believe this would be his second term that he is seeking?
Correct, but Justin, I do want to point something out too. The last couple of elections in City Council, we've seen some upsets. For example, in Ward 5 in 2019, Mr. Olson defeated Maria Jones. That was considered an upset right there. Then actually was that same year that Greg Rabb, who was the City Council president and an at-large, that was a big upset if you remember. So things could happen the way we may not expect.
Yeah, you got to expect the unexpected.
That's right.
For sure.
Well, I'd like to ask you, Matt, because I think the key is going to come down to Christina Cardinelli and Diversa for the at-large, because I think you're right that the other 2 seats are going to go to the strong Republicans that you've mentioned. Yeah. However, do you have any predictions to who, assuming the Democrats seize the majority, who they would take as their council president?
Well, I would have to think that it would be Murray Karuba.
That's what I was thinking.
However, here's the thing, too. I mean, now you're seeing potentially, if the Democrats were to get that control back, you're seeing perhaps a movement towards a new era. So perhaps we could have one of the freshman Democrats on there become the president. But that is a good point, Rory.
Can that be a dangerous thing, though, because they don't have the experience, and they would be better off to take a sure hand who's been there to help guide them as their freshman?
That's a good point. It could very well be a dangerous thing, but as we've seen, not only on the local level, but state, national, any level, I mean, lately experience hasn't been the thing. It's the platform.
We're always looking for new blood.
So, Justin, how important do you think name recognition is in this?
And that's where I look at the incumbents, and I think to myself, when someone goes to vote at the at-large, and if you look back historically at the mayoral race back in 2019, and I know we had 3 candidates, Mayor Eddie Sundquist, a Republican, and a Libertarian who were running in that race. But you look at the at-large seat, and I think at council across the board, several Republicans won. And that's when we had that shift, right, of the majority, so that the Republicans were able to have that majority in city council.
I do want to note, Justin, not to cut you off there, but just to make sure we know, with the at-large, there was one Democrat.
Correct.
And that was Tamu Graham-Reinhart, who chose not to rerun again. But I see what you're saying.
Right. It plays a big factor in for sure. And I know, Matt, you took a pretty close look at those incumbents and the issues that they find to be at the top of their agenda, and I know a lot of people here in Jamestown find that to be as well. Let's take a look.
Incumbent Republican at-large members Jeff Russell and Kim Eklund are vying to retain their seats during this fall's election. One of the areas that's being discussed heavily involves how the city should expend its ARPA funding throughout the next few years. Eklund says that while there's plenty of restrictions on how the city is allowed to disperse the federal funding, there's a golden opportunity for past issues to be resolved and future improvements to be made.
It boils down to basically public safety, health and wellness, lost revenue, immediate stabilization both for households and businesses, and investment in water, sewer, and broadband. And at the same time, this is also an opportunity for the city to improve upon and deliver some things that we have not been able to do in the past 20 years.
For years, the city of Jamestown has either flirted with or reached its constitutional tax limit. Russell says he hopes to see a, quote, tax relief on the city residents as a result of the ARPA funding, and is weary of Jamestown Mayor Eddie Sundquist's executive budget.
He's allocating $300,000 for possible reassessment in the city. The mayor's here tonight. I'll say this publicly, that I think if he reassesses the city of Jamestown and the citizens here, it's political suicide for him. We've already done that. People are paying a lot of tax money, and they don't want to see that again, especially the people that are buying houses right now.
Drug use remains a major issue for the city of Jamestown. Russell and Eklund were both asked how they work to improve that area. Russell says that bail reform needs to be altered in order to address the drug epidemic locally.
Basically, now if you are charged with an E felony or below, you're probably going to get an appearance ticket, and you might see the Jamestown City Jail for less than an hour to do some paperwork.
Eklund also says that bail reform is a large component to the drug problem in the city.
We know it's a disease, but we also know it's a very strong, tough, and ever-growing issue, both for the users as well as law enforcement to combat. You add into that, and Jeff probably could speak more eloquently about this, but bail reform. And the person who is selling the drugs is back on the street, and it's recidivism over and over and over again.
Eklund, Russell, and Republican Randy Diversa are fighting for the 3 at-large positions, which means the council would remain in Republican control if all 3 win. For WNY News Now, I'm Matt Hummel.
All right, Matt, thank you. We'll, of course, continue to watch that race as the night goes on. You are watching live election coverage here on WNY News Now. Polls are still open, so if you haven't had a chance to vote yet, you can still do so until 9 o'clock tonight, and that's when we're expected to get some of our first data. So at the top of the hour, we will be taking a look directly at our decision desk and getting some results straight to you. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
Remember when you were a kid, huddled around the television waiting for your school to close? Well, we don't get snow days. When winter weather hits, count on the First Defense Weather Team for a look into the future where the snow is headed next. Live radar showing you the scope of the storm, and real-time reports from the field. So when it matters most, stay with First Defense Weather.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now. With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Welcome back to WNY News Now, live election night coverage. I'm Justin Gould. We have reporters scattered across Chautauqua County, and our Julia Gress is one of them. She joins us live now from the city of Dunkirk, where we are awaiting some big names in several high-profile races, Julia, that are set to get underway.
Yep, Justin, we got some more people filling in here. We're still waiting for Norm Green to arrive, but we got a lot of people waiting election results. Thank you, Justin. We've got a lot of people filling in here waiting for election results. We're still looking for Norm Green. He has yet to arrive, but we do have the mayor of Dunkirk here waiting, like the rest of us, for those polls to come in.
Yeah, I know, and we'll be having that coming up tonight at 9 o'clock, Julia, and of course we will check in there, and Mayor Rosas, obviously, very happy to see that lady. Thank you very much. Let's now go to our Bronson Rasmussen, who's standing by live for us in Mayville, where the Republicans are gathered. And Bronson looks like he's joined now by Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell.
There you go.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm here with PJ Wendell, hopefully going to win the election tonight. What is the feelings like for you tonight?
Anxious, as always. We feel confident about my position and my administration and how we've, led the county in the last year, the visions we have for the future of the county. So, feel confident that our message resonated with the residents and, be humbled by the support, and we'll just have to wait and see.
If there's anything you could say to your competitor right now, what would it be?
Oh, good luck. It was a good race, and we'll just wait and see what the voters have to say.
So there's no bad blood between you two?
No, not at all. It's a race. It's a competitive it's a competitive contest, and at the end of the day, we're both looking to do what we can for Chautauqua County.
Is there anything now in hindsight that you wish you could have done different?
Not really. I looked at a lot of those questions came up when they asked about our reaction to COVID, and would we have done anything different? And I feel that. If you're in leadership, that you look at your options, you make your decisions, and you stand by them. Whether they're good or bad, whether they get criticism or they're applauded. You just stick with what you're about. You stick with your plan, and you move forward. So, I feel confident in what we did and the outreach we did in our communities, and got our messages to the residents of the county.
Okay. One final thing I just wanted to ask you is, do you know of all the big names are here? Like, who is?
Not really. I know the Republican candidates have all been invited tonight, so some of them are coming in right now. Some of our city council races in the city of Jamestown, several of our legislators are here. So it'll be exciting to see, the two countywide races, myself and Larry Barmore. I haven't seen Larry come in yet, but we usually all get together, and we're pretty supportive of one another as a Republican caucus, that we support one another, we unite together, and, we get here to follow and see what happens when the results come in.
Oh, yeah, that's always great to hear. Well, thank you for joining us today. Justin, back to you.
All right, Bronson, thank you. And, of course, we'll continue to monitor that as the evening progresses for sure. And I think it's interesting to note there that the county executive gentleman said he really doesn't have any regrets when you look at COVID. I know that was one of the big things that was brought up during the debate, as we discussed a little bit earlier in the broadcast, is that's kind of what his opponent, Mr. Green, has been poking at.
Well, I think just about everybody involved at any government level with COVID and the mask mandate and the vaccine mandate have all said, I don't see Trump or Biden coming out and saying, I'd have done this different, I'd have done that different. And so I think he believes he wouldn't have done anything different. In hindsight's 20/20, but at the same time, it wouldn't do him any good to say, boy, I regret this or I regret that, because it's not undoable. So I think he did what he felt was best with the information he had at the time. I'll put it that way.
Absolutely, Rory. And just to piggyback there, I mean, take a look at other county executives throughout New York State. I mean, I'll take Mark Poloncarz because he's one of our neighbors. Yeah, obviously he's a Democrat, Wendell a Republican. They're going to have differing views. You don't hear him saying, that he's got regrets either. So, like you said, we could play the armchair quarterback game all day long. With COVID or really anything in general, it's what's going to happen in the future that really matters. So, tonight is a big night. Let's see what the voters chose, and we might have some new policies, same policy. Let's see what happens.
Right, absolutely, and that's the big thing. Is there's no precedented pandemic playbook, so to speak, that I think Mr. Wendell could refer to.
I will say, though, and it's my experience from when we were smack in the middle of covering this every day, that Mr. Wendell was very good about taking concerns that he heard to the lieutenant governor. And he was very good about, it seems to me, fighting for the county.
Right.
But I also want to say, to be fair, I've known Norm Green since dinosaurs were young, and he is probably the most helpful county employee I've ever worked with as a reporter. And so I think the county wins either way with either of these gentlemen. And I just think we need to, I'm just glad it's not someone running unopposed, because that gives the people no choice whatsoever.
Right, right. And we do have several races that will be that way this evening.
Matt can call those now.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right there, exactly. So another big race countywide is the race for county clerk, and this is always an interesting one, I think, to get people engaged, because unless you use the county clerk's office, you maybe don't on a day-to-day interact with this group. However, there is a race for it, and for the most part, these two have been focused on the Department of Motor Vehicles. That was a hot topic throughout the pandemic. Our Julia Gress taking a look back at their debate last month, and really the DMV, because that was the main talker of the night.
The candidates were asked what they believe the biggest issue the county clerk will face during their next term. While both agreed the DMV needs the most attention, the reasoning differed.
The county retains 12.7% of all funds collected at the county DMV offices. This amount has not changed in over 30 years, despite the fact that the state continues to siphon business from the local DMVs to improve their income.
Clerk Larry Barmore also noted that the increase of online DMV services reduces the funds that remain local. Instead, they go directly to the state. His opponent, David Sally, however, noted issues that the COVID-19 pandemic brought attention to.
The biggest issue is serving all of the people. You cannot run a government office as if it's a business. A business focuses on profit and loss. If a portion of the market isn't profitable, then they don't serve that market. A government office has to serve everyone.
He mentioned the significant Hispanic population in Chautauqua County and the DMV's lack of Spanish-speaking employees. Barmore assured voters that the Dunkirk DMV does employ a Spanish speaker, which Sally doesn't believe is enough.
There are civic service exams for Spanish-speaking clerks. We would need to advertise them heavily. The ideal situation would be a minimum of one at each Department of Motor Vehicles and somebody at the county office who could go to whatever office was needed.
Barmore also explained that funding is an issue when it comes to staffing. Essentially, lack of revenue leads to lack of service. Sally countered by saying the physical issue of space, stating that the building lacks parking and adequate handicapped accessibility.
I had a spot all picked out, and the representatives from the city of Jamestown came to the legislature and asked them not to approve it because they wanted me to keep the DMV downtown because they were trying to improve the downtown.
Another important issue the debate focused on was how each candidate would run the position. Barmore believes that the seat should be held by someone who understands business.
We try to do everything that we can to help every person. Every person is welcome in our office. And all our offices are a user-based funded system, so to speak. If you need our clerk's office or our DMV or our weights and measures or whatever, you pay for the service. If you don't need it, you don't pay.
The Republican also claims that he has saved taxpayers roughly $750,000 since he took the position in 2013. The Democrat reviewed his past business experience as a programmer and technical support for multiple businesses as their public-facing employees.
He's been complaining about lines being down at the state level and not getting communication through. It goes much faster for repairs if you have a professional at each end working on the problem.
Meanwhile, Sally says that the county should have backup measures in place if the state system fails. He also suggested a new method of service at the DMV to reduce wait times.
What you do is you switch to an accessibility scenario, doctor's office. You call up and you have people call a phone number or go onto a website and make an appointment and say, I want to do this. And they say, okay, you need document A, B, C. The fee will be so much. It'll take 20 minutes. Can you come in at Wednesday at 11:20? And this way there is no line.
Barmore explains that this method has previously been unsuccessful in the area.
The governor mandated that we have an appointment-only system. I knew it wasn't going to work, but we did it anyways. And within a week, we were booked to 3-4 months ahead. Many people made multiple appointments, which they never showed up for, but we have no way of policing that.
Julia Gress, WNY News Now.
All right, our Julia Gress reporting, and she joins us now live from the field with the Democratic candidate for Chautauqua County Executive. And Julia, I know you're talking right now. What is on Mr. Sally's mind?
Well, we're here to find out what's exactly on this candidate's mind. David Sally, could you tell us what you're hopeful for tonight?
Well, we're hopeful for a good turnout because Democrats always do well. The more voters that come out, the better the Democrats do. So we just got back from the event center where we've been calling since approximately 9 o'clock this morning. So we're hoping for a terrific turnout tonight.
Yeah. From what you've seen earlier in the day, does it look like you're getting a lot of people coming out? I know with the weather, some people might be hesitant to come out in the rain or, stuff like that. Did you see a good amount of people come out while you were there?
Yes, we did. We got a lot of the phone calls saying, oh, I just got back or I just going out the door right now. So we're very hopeful. We got a hold of a lot of people and they said that, yes, they're going out to vote. We've had 20% of Democrats who never vote in off-year elections actually voted early this year. So we're hoping for a good turnout.
And can you remind us a little bit about your priorities if you do win the election today?
Okay. We know that from the Dunkirk School Board that about 50% of the student body is Hispanic, which means approximately 50% of the population is Hispanic. There are no Spanish speakers anywhere in the system, particularly where they're needed is the Dunkirk Department of Motor Vehicles. People are bringing in their children to be translators, and that's just not acceptable. We need to have either native Spanish speakers who can work as clerks or interpreters who can work between the customer and the clerk. And I'm really not satisfied with the Jamestown Department of Motor Vehicles. There's 12 parking spaces for everybody. The handicapped parking space is farthest from the building, and there's been numerous fender benders because it's a narrow exit in and out, and it's only the one. So I would be looking for new quarters for Jamestown and Spanish speakers for Dunkirk.
All right. Well, it looks like accessibility is on the mind of this candidate here, and we're excited to hear more from you as the night continues. Thank you so much, Mr. Sally.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Back to you, Justin.
All right, Julia, thank you. Let's turn back to our panel now, gentlemen. I know was a big talker, was the DMV, as we just mentioned. It's like we're talking about it for the last couple of months. But hearing from the candidate tonight, what are some of your takeaways?
I know for me personally, last year I spent a week there one day. I mean, you get in there and you're there. And there were 3 windows open and there were like 20 people standing there. Now I know it was different circumstances because of COVID and social distancing and face diapers and all that stuff. But the DMV's always had that reputation, even before the people that run it now were running it. Mm-hmm. And I do agree that the parking is tough there sometimes, but that's the story of downtown Jamestown anyway.
You're right. And when you look at kind of the counter argument from Mr. Barmore, I know it's been the fact that, well, it was bad before, right? You liked parking on a hill on Pine Street right next to us.
Yeah.
You like trudging through the poorly plowed sidewalks. No offense to the city, but it's kind of, how it works. It's a hill, it's icy. What are they going to do? Yeah. And his argument is, well, at least there's a parking lot, and at least we're able to plow the driveway now because it's a private building. Mm-hmm. So it's still tough. And I know during COVID, Matt, that was one of the big things was everybody wanted to know when the DMV was opening, and it sort of goes back to this narrative of, well, his hands were tied, Barmore's hands were tied because he was waiting on the state for guidance. Absolutely, and one of the big things that if Mr. Sally is to win tonight is how, if he was to improve the DMV, how he would. I mean, I know accessibility is a big thing. Okay. Does this mean he'd want to move the Jamestown DMV again? Where would he would like to move it? I mean, that's a big thing that I hope we do here as time moves on. And regarding the COVID thing, Justin, you're correct. I mean, Mr. Barmore did say, and it is kind of true,
not just with his office, but any local official, sometimes their hands were tied because you had to follow that guidance from the state and the federal government. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. There's no right or wrong answer, in my opinion, right now, with the county clerk office. Let's see what happens. So,
right. And I think it boils down to the voters, right? What do they
Correct.
like? Do they think that the best job was done over the past 4 years, or is it time for a change? And I believe traditionally, Rory, Barmore has quite the tenure as county clerk.
Oh, he's been there a long time, and it's almost hard to remember his predecessors at this point. He's one of those people that you look at and you say, well, he's probably going to get reelected because he always does. And but is it a good strategy to challenge him on the DMV? Because when's the last time you heard somebody say, oh, I love going to the DMV?
Right.
They don't. And so I think it was smart on Mr. Sally's part to challenge him on that, because even if it's not an issue, it makes people say, yeah, boy, there's got to be a change there. And so I think that was a smart move on his part, challenging a very powerful incumbent.
Yeah, so certainly time will tell. And speaking of time, it looks like we have about 10 minutes now until the top of the hour when we can expect to see some live data beginning to come in. Fingers crossed all works well. Just to kind of refresh people about how the process works, and I know, Matt, you actually have, I think, one of the best seats in the house when it comes to that, with that big
it's
board
about
behind
time,
you.
right?
Right, exactly.
Right behind home plate, buddy.
Right, exactly. Well, how'd you score those seats?
Well, you see, I rolled into the studio. Wait, are we talking about the baseball game, or are we talking about the...
No, right now, yeah.
Oh, right now. Okay,
I don't care
well,
about
you see...
your Pirates visit.
Oh, right. All right, so for here, I rolled in the studio, right? And my director, producer, what have you, Justin Gould, I think's his name.
I said sit down.
Yeah, you go sit down, eat your food, and get the heck right over here in the best seats in the house. So I'm like, okay, sir.
Do.
Have a chicken wing and shut up.
That's right.
And we will start to see that board behind you, Matt, light up, as hopefully we'll get some data from early voting coming up in just under 10 minutes' time. And you're watching live election night coverage on WNY News Now. Stay with us.
With coverage that matters. This is WNY News Now.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvanna Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
And welcome back to WNY News Now live election night coverage. T-minus 5 minutes until we start to get results into our newsroom. Thanks for joining us. I'm Justin Gould, joined by Rory Polero and WNY News Now's Matt Hummel. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on tonight and talking about this. And Matt, you have one of the key jobs this evening as you're taking a look as the results come in behind you. Can you kind of explain to us a little bit what that process will be like?
Absolutely. So one thing I do want to remind everybody, at about 9 o'clock, give or take, we should have the early voting votes pop up here on the screen. Then it's going to take a little bit for each district to report. Once each district reports, Justin, we'll get some more votes in, and some places, like let's take the county executive and county clerk. There's 102 districts that are reporting in the county. We're really not going to be able to predict right away, if at all tonight, depending on how close it is, who's going to win. But you can take other races, such as for a county legislature or town council. There's not many districts there. You should easily be able to pick a winner within the first 20 minutes. So, so really it's a minute by minute, almost hour by hour process. We'll be waiting anxiously, and who knows what can happen. Again, like Rory Polero said earlier, this is like the Newsroom's World Series, but on a serious note, this evening can shape the policy here locally, both on a city and county level for years to come.
Yeah, it definitely can. It has so much influence on our day-to-day lives.
The thing I'd point out, Matt, is when you were talking about people's ability to call a winner or not because of the number of districts, you also have to remember there are 2,516 absentee ballots that were sent out. We don't know how many were returned. We don't know how many made it on time and won't be disqualified. But if the race is close, then we have to wait until the 15th when they count those to say. So there are races that we may not know, just like last year. There are races we may not know for 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And if I may respond there too, last year with COVID, there really was not a lot of in-person voting there was, but not to the level that we normally see. So there were questions last year as to could we call those races or not. And do remember, two actually races, top races here in the county executive and district attorney. We were able to call those pretty confidently that night. So
yeah, I think it was almost like 10 minutes or so into it. They overwhelmingly won.
Right. But Rory does make an excellent point here that it could be different this year with these races. So it's definitely going to be something that you better get your popcorn ready, because we're in for a big night here tonight, gentlemen.
Well, I think last year, Mr. Wendell won by almost 20,000 votes.
Correct.
So if your margin's big enough that even if every absentee ballot went for your opponent and you still ahead, you won it.
I mean, this kind of reminds me, too, to pull a Dakota Hunter strategy, talking about game shows here. Almost reminds me of Jeopardy, going into Final Jeopardy. If, say, I've got $30,000 and Rory has $10,000, I mean, as long as I wager less than what is it 20? No, I wouldn't want to wager more than $10,000.
Faulkner math here, ladies and gentlemen.
And this is the guy tallying the numbers.
Oh dear, we're in trouble.
Yeah, but really, the point being here
Pretend
is
you're counting pirate wins.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that doesn't require a lot of counting unless we're talking about losses there, Rory.
Yeah. All right, you're right, Matt. It can be close, and anything can happen. Coming up on 9 o'clock, you're watching WNY News Now live special election night coverage, streaming live on Facebook, WNYNewsNow.com, and channel 716 on Roku. And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now special election night coverage. You're watching us live on channel 716 on Roku, WNYNewsNow.com, and our mobile app. I'm Justin Gould. This evening, we are taking a look and giving you live results from many elections across Chautauqua County and here in the city of Jamestown. We have our crews out at several locations, including at Webb's in Mayville, where the Republican Party countywide are gathered right now to watch results as they come back live. Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell, County Clerk Larry Barmore, and several candidates for county legislator. I see Dave Wolfong there in the shot. I see Robert Reedy, who's a candidate for Jamestown City Council, as well. Kim Eklund gathered to watch the results, which we could be starting to get back any moment now. And speaking of watching the results, they're watching that in Dunkirk, as you see Chautauqua County Executive candidate Norm Green playing a little IT guy tonight. Don't want to demean the role by any means, but they're working on getting their results up and going there as they watch them come back to this evening. And our man of the hour, Matt Hummel, is watching the results, and I believe, Matt, we already have some of them coming back right here to our newsroom.
Absolutely, Justin. Hence why I wanted to refresh. We are at the 9 o'clock moment. Let's see what we have so far. So I just want to point out here, no districts have reported yet. These are early vote tallies. County Clerk Larry Barmore is up by over 300 votes so far over David Sally. Again, it's way early. Just want to give you a little bit of look there so far. County Executive, meanwhile, Paul P.J. Wendell Jr. has a 500 vote lead, give or take, over Norm Green. Again, no districts have reported county-wide, and we'll have more, of course, coming up here in the next hour.
And those early vote totals, I think, are so very important when you look at the race and just the impact of early voting, which it has that ability to immediately see at 9 o'clock. One of the first districts that the County Board of Elections tells us they will see tonight is the race for, is polling results from Mayville, because that's one of the geographically closest locations. And in many cases, Rory, I know that can be attributed to county workers, because a lot of them may or may not live in and around the Mayville area.
Well, and that's always been one of the questions for any election is, should you have to live in the place you work? And they ask that of police, they ask that of firemen. And I think looking at the results early, you try not to get too excited because it is so early. But I'm sitting here scanning them, and I'm seeing a few things that if they were to hold would be a surprise. And there are, the thing I noticed this year is I didn't see an October surprise.
Yeah.
And usually there is one, at least one in every election. And in this cycle, I didn't see one.
No, and when you look at some of these early voting totals, and I know it'd be premature at this point to call anything at 9 o'clock, but is there anything that really stands out to both of you when looking at how early voters felt?
Justin, I'm taking a look here right now here in the city of Jamestown at large, and again, we can't stress this enough. It's early, no districts have reported. But the leader right now of the 6 candidates for at-large is Ellen DeTanto. Yep. Second is Christina Cardinale. And third is Alyssa Porter. So all political newcomers there so far. Let's see how this plays out. That is a big start there for the Democratic Party.
Yeah, and that's a big race when you look at just the pool of candidates, gentlemen. I mean, there are so many people that are vying for that seat, and I think it's really important to note that obviously this is just early voting data that we're seeing that's coming in. We don't have any necessarily districts reporting yet, but nevertheless, it definitely is an important race to watch, and we'll monitor that throughout the night there, specifically how that Jamestown ward race for at-large will play out.
The one that, oddly enough, I was just looking at too, and what impressed me is the fact that there's already 130 vote difference between first and sixth, and that this would be an all-Democrat at-large if these numbers held.
And I do want to make a point there that if it is all Democratic at-large that's elected, that puts the at-large and wards 3 through 6 if the Democrats hang on there. So that would leave Ward 1 and 2, Tony Doles and Brent Sheldon, as the only Republicans. That would be 7-2. That would be a huge election there for the Democratic Party, and could really shape city policy with Democrat Eddie Sundquist in the office there. So big things could be happening here in the city of Jamestown, but again, it's too early. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, Gentlemen, I want to ask you about the county executive race. We're looking live at Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell, who's at the viewing party there in Mayville at Webb's, and he's looking over these first tallies as they start to come back. What does that look like? Who did early voters favor at this point?
Well, it looks like they went for Mr. Wendell, but there's only roughly 500 votes between them right now, in an election that last year was 20,000 votes difference. So this is just one teardrop in the ocean. But it does look like early voters are sticking with the incumbent in both this race and the county clerk's race. So while it might not be a good thing to be an incumbent at the city level right now, it looks like it's a pretty good thing to be an incumbent at the county level.
I do want to point out, gentlemen, too, there is, and excuse me for forgetting to mention this before the broadcast, but there's something I noticed last night, I believe it was, while scrolling through my personal Facebook page. There was this logo circulating from, it appeared to be some known Democrats, not Norm. How big that movement is, I don't know. I think that is something also to keep an eye out tonight as the votes come in.
Yeah, that would definitely be interesting if Democrats aren't favoring Green. And we're not big speculators in this business. I definitely know that the two of you are very much against that. But if we remember, Mr. Green did sue the Democratic Party, correct?
That's absolutely correct. There were issues in this year. It was this year. It's been a long year, so I had to think for a second. But yes, there was issues when it came to who would replace Mr. Green as a Democrat election commissioner. I know that some of the Democrats had an idea of their own. Now it's Ms. Torres, of course. So yeah, there was issues there for a while with the Democratic caucus here in the county. So whether I can't imagine that spilled over too much, especially with a big race such as county executive. But that is a good point that you brought up, Justin. And I think the vote total tonight, especially with the amount of write-ins that we might see, that could be a big reason.
Right, and generally speaking, write-ins most likely would favor Democrats when you look at the history of the election. But I know with COVID on the minds of many, you definitely don't know that for sure. There's Mr. Green coming to us from Al's Captain's Table there in Dunkirk, as it looks like he's probably watching the results, as so many other people are gathered to see that. And that's definitely something that we are keeping our eyes on as we look at tallies. And wait for more districts to come in. After the break, we will go live to our locations to see what the pulse is as some of the new data is starting to come in here on election night. You're watching live election coverage here on WNY News.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
And welcome back to WNY News Now, live election coverage. I'm Justin Gould. We are watching many races across the county, but the top one is for Chautauqua County Executive. And as we mentioned before the break, early voting tallies are back. And as of right now, early voting seems to have favored the incumbent Republican, P.J. Wendell. However, the night is still young, and it appears that his opponent is still very much hopeful. Our Julia Gress is live in the city of Dunkirk with Chautauqua County executive candidate for the Democratic Party, Norm Green. Julia?
Thank you, Justin. We're here today with Norm Green as we're getting some of the early voting results in. We're just here to get Norm Green's reaction. How are you feeling as these results come in?
Well, I was disappointed. We're down by about 500 votes in the early voting count, and there were more Democrats than Republicans that voted in that race. I mean, voted early. So, but I'm really excited that it seems like we're doing really well here in the city of Dunkirk.
Are you still hopeful that you could pull this one out?
I am pretty pessimistic at this point in time, but we'll see the numbers as they come through.
All right, and if things turn out your way tonight, what are you most eager to change in the county moving forward?
Well, most eager to change the idea that a county executive that represents everybody. And throughout the campaign, we talked about Dunkirk and Jamestown and Fredonia were not being represented by the county executive, as was shown by spending $8 million on a sewage treatment line that serves half a dozen millionaires from Cleveland and Pittsburgh. It just wasn't 1/3 of the federal money went to a rich man's sewer line, and the problems that we have in Dunkirk and Fredonia, particularly in Jamestown, were ignored, and Silver Creek were ignored.
Thank you so much for speaking up. We'll continue coverage here in Dunkirk as the night continues. Back to you, Justin.
All right, Julia, thank you. And it's very interesting to see that he's pretty pessimistic about that. As we mentioned, early voting, when you look at trends from other states, it's a fairly new thing here in New York, generally favored by Democrats, so they say. However, that's a hard topic to talk about anyways. Anybody can early vote, right, no matter what your party is. But interesting to see Mr. Green not too hopeful. And now I know, Matt, we do have some districts that are starting to report. Has that changed at all?
Yes, we've got 4 districts in, and it does look like the lead has increased for both Mr. Wendell and Mr. Barmore, county clerk. But I do want to point out that 3 of those districts are up in the Mayville area. We know that because taking a look here at District 18 county legislator, Bill Ward, who is on the ticket as a Democrat, he's got 484 votes that with a 59-vote lead on Republican Martin Proctor. Of course, there's 3 more districts to go there, but that certainly is an indicator on where things have started. And like you said earlier, Justin, a lot of times Mayville and that area, we see the districts report first. Again, we've got a long way to go, though. But yeah, so far, Mr. Wendell and Mr. Barmore have that lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll continue to see as that progresses throughout the night, and maybe as more districts here in the Jamestown area begin to report in as well. Matt Hummel, live in the newsroom. Matt, thank you. I want to get to our Bronson Rasmussen, who's live for us now at the Republican headquarters there in Mayville. Bronson, what's the reaction from some of the folks as data begins to come in?
Well, so far I haven't really noticed a real change from earlier. Yes, the early voting numbers have come in, but that's just a fraction compared to everything else that's coming. So just the reactions I've seen from people is still that nervousness. And overall, even with these early numbers, maybe a hint of just relief. But there is a lot of nervous people here, and these early votes are just something small. It's not really foretelling of what's going to come.
Yeah,
Justin,
and I think that's
back to you.
Yeah, it's such an important point there, Bronson, is that there is still so much more to come. We'll check back in with you in just a little bit. Our Lee Kane is live for us just blocks away from our downtown studio here in Jamestown tonight, where he's hearing from some of the Democratic candidates. And it looks like right now, Lee, you're talking with Councilman Tom Nelson, who is running for re-election this fall. Lee, what does Mr. Nelson think about the results back so far?
We are live here at the Beer Snob in Jamestown, New York, at the Democratic headquarters for this election. And I'm here with Mr. Nelson, who's running for city councilman for Jamestown. Mr. Nelson, just the atmosphere here is electric. How do you feel? How could you not be on edge?
Well, as a former coach, it's like another big game. You know, you're all pumped up and excited. You just hope it works out for the best. I feel like I worked hard and see what happens, and see how the voters what they decide.
Well, as we've been talking with some of the candidates tonight and with our mayor, everyone's been certainly speaking about the infrastructure and some of the federal dollars coming in that can help improve the city. Are there any projects or anything in particular that you would like to see happen?
Well, public safety needs some attention. I think our police department and fire department need some attention. Infrastructure, I'm the chairman of the Public Works Department, so certainly there's some projects there that I think are sustainable. That's important. Sustainability is a key thing we need to look at. And some quality of life issues, some of our parks. I think could use some improvements. One in particular on Willard Street, that's in my ward, that's really, I think, been neglected a long time. I'd like to see that improved for the people in my ward. We've talked about some other projects, having a dog park over at Berkman, a splash pad, another, I think one that would be great for the city.
Yes, and that is one of the things. A lot of people are talking about the food deserts and such, but they actually mention things I cannot hear you. Let's work through this. If I can walk this out there.
All right, our Lee Kane with Councilman Tom Nelson. Lee, thank you. And Nelson is running against Andrew Faulkner in this race. And I know, Rory, we're starting to get data back for that. What are we seeing there?
Well, we're seeing almost a 2-to-1 margin for the Democratic challenger. I will say that if things hold like they seem to be, it's going to be a big night on the city level for the Democrats. That would give them 7-2 in council seats if things hold as they are. And that's, remember, there's only 5% of the vote in so far.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, we're seeing a few things that could be shakeups elsewhere. It's a small margin, but right now Dave Wilfong, who ran for mayor last time, is losing in his race for legislature.
Yeah, that definitely could be beating the status quo because he held that county legislative seat for quite some time. Rory, thank you. We're going to squeeze in a break, and when we come back, we'll regroup and we will break down even more of these results as they're starting to come in full force. Stay with us as WNY News Now Live Election Night continues.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at 1ball4tc.com.
Remember when you were a kid, huddled around the television waiting for your school to close? Well, we don't get snow days. When winter weather hits, count on the First Defense Weather Team for a look into the future where the snow is headed next. Live radar showing you the scope of the storm. And real-time reports from the field. So when it matters most, stay with First Defense Weather.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now. With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Welcome back to WNY News Now live election coverage from Chautauqua County and areas in Jamestown. I'm Justin Gould. Our expert team is working very hard to bring updated results. Rory Polero and Matt Hummel joins us live now. Matt, I know you just refreshed your big board. Can you kind of give us an update on where things are standing? I know earlier we had early voting data that came right away, and several districts now reporting also.
I do. I do want to first note that we haven't had any new districts so far. We are at 4, but Justin, I do want to talk about the Chautauqua County Legislature. I know during break we were speaking about that here behind the scenes. One of the things so far in the early voting is up in the Dunkirk area, District number 1, and that is Democrat Marcus Buchanan is so far up ahead by almost 60 votes over Republican Kevin Muldowney. So, I mean, the Republicans come in with a commanding lead on the makeup of the legislature. But that would be big for the Democrats if they could flip some seats here as the years move forward.
Well, I think, like by my count, if things were to stay the way they are now, and obviously that's very much up in the air, we still have only 5.2% of the vote reported. Right. But it would be a 12-7 for the Republicans in the county legislature. And so you have one seat that's a Democrat running against a Democrat, so obviously they're going to pick up at least that one seat. And we don't know how the rest is going to turn out because the two population centers for this are county-wise are Dunkirk and Jamestown. And that's where the meat of the votes are going to come from, I think. And while they're their own legislative districts, the county races, those are going to be the keys. Doing well in Dunkirk, doing well in Jamestown.
Well, look, too, here down in District 12, which goes to your point, Rory, is a Jamestown district. Again, this is early voting results only, but incumbent Elizabeth Rankin is only up by 3 votes over Democratic challenger Heather Fagan. So, like I said, and you said, Dunkirk and Jamestown, those are the big things right now. What's going to happen again? We've got a lot more to go tonight, but definitely interesting at the county level as well early on.
Yeah, well, it's very, very early. Time will tell. You have, like I say, Mr. Wilfong down by 11 votes. You have some races here that could turn out to really be really good races, really unexpected and exciting results.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about that Wilfong race for District 11. We refer to it as the Wilfong race, but when you look at it, Robert Whitney is the incumbent Democrat who won the seat after Wilfong was unable to run in 2019 while he was running for mayor. He ultimately lost that election against Mayor Eddie Sundquist here in Jamestown, but he's making that attempt again to win back his seat. And so far, at least with the early voting data, it looks like Whitney is leading.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing so far, Justin, but I am going to refresh if you don't mind. Just want to see if we have anything new coming in. Let's see. Yeah, we're
Well,
still at the same 4 districts, but yeah, District 11 with Dave Wilfong and Bob Whitney there. That's going to be, I think, one of the big races to watch, especially because both men have experience on the legislature. Again, it's early, but my goodness, this is going to be, we're in for a treat, gentlemen, from the political aspect of this. And Rory, what's your take on everything so far?
Well, I'm floating over here to look at District 18, in which Bill Ward leads 52% to 46%. It's about 70 votes, give or take. Actually, no, it's about 59 votes by my count. And I just, Bill Ward's an old name if you know him from politics. He's been around, and along with his brother John. And he's a standard name. He's one of those people you expect to do well. And he seems to be coasting along right now. I guess my thing is, Pierre Chagnon is winning, as I think is kind of expected. He's up by 43 votes. And so it seems like a good mix to me of old and new, of Republicans and Democrats. I think we're going to have a good, dare I hope, bipartisan mix on the county legislature.
With that District 18 race there in the central part of the county, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Ward is the incumbent, and he was originally a Republican, but then was defeated in the primary?
Correct.
Yes.
You are correct. And Ward 18 and, District 18 and District 4 are the 2 races this year that we saw the incumbents, I believe, defeated in a primary. What happens now? Don't know.
Christine Starks is the incumbent in 4, and
Correct.
right now she's losing by 130 votes, 66% to 23%.
Right, and Susan Parker defeated Christine Starks in a primary for the Democrat position on the ticket.
Yeah.
Well, the county exec numbers are jumping up, and it's now a 1,600 vote lead, roughly, for incumbent Paul Wendell. And Larry Barmore's got about a 1,300 vote lead, give or take.
Absolutely, and no districts have been reported in Jamestown, according to the Board of Elections. So there's still plenty of votes to be had, but right now, the good thing so far, if you're a Republican, let's see what happens, though.
Yeah, absolutely, gentlemen, and that's something we'll continue to keep our eyes on. Speaking of Republicans, we see it looks like Kim Eklund there, a Jamestown City Council candidate at large, Republican and council member, watching the results as they come in. More live from both of our posts in Mayville, Dunkirk, and here in Jamestown as WNY News Now election coverage continues.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job.
I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working.
I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Welcome back to live WNY News Now election coverage. I'm Justin Gould, joined alongside Matt Hummel and our election guru, Rory Falero. And I know, Rory, you had an interesting point that we were kind of discussing briefly during the break I want to share with viewers. The village of Celeron. I know the mayor is running unopposed there, but it seems like pretty low turnout.
He got, as of the last report, he's got 12 votes. 12 to no write-ins. And, you know, if nothing else, and I know him, I'm not judging him, I think he's done a good job. I just don't like seeing people running unopposed.
Right.
Because one of two things happens. They get complacent, or the voters get complacent, and you end up with winning with 12 votes.
Right, right. And that's the thing is, as a news agency, we don't even have graphics for those races because we know how it's going to come out, right? Schreckengost will retain his post, and he'll be village of mayor come January 1.
But I do think you should look at the total numbers and say, it's a mandate in the fact that the other party didn't challenge you.
Right.
But it's also, is it a mandate that only a handful of people vote for you? And I'm not picking on the mayor there because this happens in town races all over the state. And so I think it's just, I just saw that number and it looked, I can get more than 12 votes out of my family reunion. So I don't know if that just means people are happy so they're not coming out. I don't know. I don't know what it means, but I'm sure it means something. It says something. I just haven't figured out what it says.
I do want to pick some brains here because now just thinking about it, and I can't think of any off of the top of my head, gentlemen, but have we ever had a write-in win an election?
Good question.
I mean, I know, and I don't want to get too off on a tangent because this isn't in our coverage area, but I know up in Buffalo right now we got that big one with the mayor, with Byron Brown and Miss Walton, but I mean, locally here, have we seen anything? I can't think of any off the top of my head. Can you guys?
No. Well, I can go back as far as when C. Jeffrey Bloomquist ran for mayor, and he didn't. My brother ran for sheriff on Facebook.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And he got 17 votes, but he wasn't doing it to win. He was doing it to show his granddaughter that you can do anything you want in this country.
You know what? That's a really good thing, Rory.
Well, she was questioning, I can't be president or governor or anything because I'm a girl.
Right.
And he said, you can be whatever you want to be. And she said, could I be sheriff? So he said, well, I'm going to run for sheriff to prove to you you could be. And the lesson hit home. But I don't know of any write-ins that have actually been successful in the county.
Overall, Matt, I know you were just looking at the board. Are there many write-ins so far? I know the data is still limited at this moment, but
I mean, right now, if you look at county executive, 9 districts in, you have 69 write-ins. So the big thing I know we were talking about earlier, and I don't know if this has an effect or not, we will never know, but is that the not norm group.
Right.
I don't know who they picked. They could have picked Rory Polero for all we knew.
Right.
Or no, here at this point in time.
I don't want the job. No, thank you.
How big of a movement is that? I mean, that's still kind of just social media chatter at this point. But still,
right. There was no press conferences. There was no releases. I just found it interesting that a logo saying "Not Norm" was circulating just days before the election. Maybe that was meant to be what Rory has talked about as the October surprise. I don't know.
I was just going to ask you if you thought that, because there was a post on social media saying don't vote for any of the, what are they called? I keep wanting to say Proverbs, the amendments.
Yes.
Right. There was a thing saying not to vote for any of them, but then it went on to say vote no on Norm. And there were over 100 comments, and they were almost all negative towards Norm Green. And so I didn't know if that was their attempt, if it was from this group or not, and whether that was an attempt at an October surprise, because a couple hundred comments isn't going to make the difference in the race.
Right.
I think the problem might be, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I think there's a Biden-Cuomo coattail, because when you talk about vaccine mandates, mask mandates, those came from the state. And so I think locally we're going to pay, some people are going to pay for what their party did higher up the ladder.
Right, whether they have any
exactly
or role in it at all.
Exactly.
I wanted to just briefly, we were talking about it, and I think it's interesting. So I pulled up the Erie County Board of Elections data here, and it looks like right now they're right in, it doesn't specifically say Walton versus Byron Brown, remember. It would just be right in results on the list. And it looks like it's 2-1 over Walton. So the write-in candidate, which we would presume is Byron Brown, seems to be pulling out. Now, again, it's only 10,000 early vote tallies at this point for Erie County. So it'll be interesting to see, and then specifically the city of Buffalo. It'll be interesting to see that come out.
I think the interesting thing in that race is she's getting tapped by her opponents as being an open socialist.
Yeah.
And at the same time, Byron Brown's had some issues during his tenure as mayor that may have caused him to not be the nominee. And so it's almost like a recall vote in a certain way.
Right. Matt, I want to briefly get an update here back to our neck of the woods. Have any Jamestown districts reported yet, to your knowledge?
Absolutely. I'll first, Justin, if you don't mind, I want to work my way county back so this makes more sense. So just a few minutes ago, we were talking about how 9 districts reported. Now we're up to 22 out of 102. So at the county level, Mr. Wendell, Paul M. Wendell Jr., has a commanding lead over Norm Green. And we're getting close to a 3,000 vote lead. And really same with county clerk. Mr. Barmore has a 2,600 vote lead, 2,400 vote lead, give or take there. So commanding leads for the Republicans. In answer to your question though, Justin, yes, out of 19 districts here in the Jamestown city limits, 3 have reported. So I'm going to scoot down here first to county legislature, look at number 11, and no districts have reported there. 2 of the 4 in District 12 have reported, and Elizabeth Rankin so far does have a commanding lead over the Democrat challenger Heather Fagan. So there's a county legislature there. Keep that in mind. 2 districts there. And there was one more that reported. Oh, that would be Paul Whitford's district there in the city. Scrolling down now to the city of Jamestown council races here then. We've got at the at-large, Kimberly Eklund is leading right now. She's got 540 votes. Behind her in second place is Democrat Ellen DeTanto at 471. Jeff Russell at 466. Those are the top three. Of course, Christina Cardinale not far behind at 425. Republican Randy DeVersa at 414. Alyssa Porter in last at 375. And regarding the wards here real quick, no specific districts. Actually, yes, Brent Sheldron's ward came in. So far, we got a lot more to go. 3 districts have reported in, and it looks like that at-large is going to be neck and neck as we suspected.
Yeah, Matt, and that's definitely a big one that we're watching tonight. And as you mentioned, Kim Eklund, incumbent Republican, leading in that. And that's where we find our Bronson Rasmussen, who's standing by with Miss Eklund to discuss the results as she's leading tonight. Bronson, what's her reaction to that?
Yes, here I am in Mayville with Kim Eklund. It's been quite a night so far, and from what I understand, it's gone pretty well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's been a good show for the county exec race. I'm glad to see PJ with that far of a lead, and still numbers coming in for the city of Jamestown, but I'm optimistic as how the council's going to roll out.
Oh, yeah. If you had a feeling before these numbers started coming in, what would you call it?
Right now they're falling exactly where I would have called it, I think, so it'll be interesting to see how the end result is after all districts get in. I think we'll start to see those numbers change a little bit more.
Do you know offhand how well you're doing in your own race?
Yes, right now I'm in the lead with the top votes, but there's only 3 of 19 districts reporting, so we'll see how that goes. In early voting, it favored the Democratic side, but we all know that that's not usually how it ends up in the end.
How does this actually make you feel, seeing that you're in the lead?
It makes me feel good. Honestly, this is, obviously my 10th time running, so I appreciate the faith that the voters have had in me all this time, and I will continue to do the work for the city of Jamestown should I remain victorious.
If you do remain victorious, how long are you going to keep doing this?
Hard to say. I wouldn't have expected I'd be here this long, but I've enjoyed what I do, and I'd like to think that I'm making a difference in this community.
Oh, yeah. It's a great thing to hear when this happens. Just what a night to go. We have a lot longer, a lot more places to come in. Only time will tell what will happen.
Yes, I'm very interested to see how the county races end up too for the county legislator along with the city of Jamestown.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. Justin, back to you.
All right, Bronson and Ms. Eklund joining us on the broadcast. Thanks to both of you for that. And I think that's interesting to note, gentlemen, staying humble with the lead. And as she mentioned, there's still so much that could happen between now and when all of the districts here in Jamestown are reporting. We're going to dip to break, but stay right there because more local election coverage, you can't find this anywhere else, when we come back. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at 1ball4tc.com.
Remember when you were a kid, huddled around the television waiting for your school to close? Well, we don't get snow days. When winter weather hits, count on the First Defense Weather Team for a look into the future where the snow is headed next. Live radar showing you the scope of the storm. And real-time reports from the field. So when it matters most, stay with First Defense Weather.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now. With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
And welcome back to live election coverage on WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. Our Matt Hummel's in the newsroom, and he's tracking the results as they come in tonight. And I hear, Matt, you have some breaking news in regards to one of the ward races here in Jamestown.
I do. This is in Ward 5, Justin. Now, if you recall, Grant Olson, incumbent Republican, his plan was not to continue campaigning. He was going to spend more time with his family and more working with his professional career. But look what we have here. 3 out of 3 districts in Ward 5 have reported. So, of course, you still have to figure out how many absentee ballots there will be. We'll find out at a later date. But look at this. Grant Olson has a 90-vote lead on Democrat challenger Doug Lawson. So this really changes a lot of things. Number one, if Grant Olson was to be elected for another term in office, here's what would happen. According to Tony Doles, who I spoke to a couple weeks ago, following Mr. Olson's announcement he wasn't going to seek re-election, he'd have to decline the results. And then the Republicans and really Mayor Eddie Sundquist, they'd have to figure out what Republican would replace him on the ward or on the council. Here's why that's huge news. Also bigger than that. Now this goes towards the balance again on the council that we've been talking about. I mean, Justin, that is, if you're a Republican, that is huge news. Huge developing news right now.
Yeah, it really is, and especially since it appears that if Mr. Olson were to win re-election and then were to resign saying, no, I don't want to continue, the mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, would have to appoint someone from his own party.
Yes, it had to be a Republican, just like if there was unfortunately, this isn't the best circumstance, of course.
But with Councilwoman James.
Yes, when she passed, the policy is to nominate somebody from that party. In this case, with Miss James, it was Regina Brackman. Here, it has to be a Republican. Now, there's, I'm sure, plenty of other Republicans in Ward 5 who might want a chance on the city council. I mean, this is big. This was not, in my opinion, I didn't really expect this from the political analysis that I've been doing and you've been doing and Rory's been doing for weeks here. Wow, this really changes things.
Yeah, it definitely is. So at this very moment in time, I think we can accurately predict and project anyways that Grant Olson, pending obviously any absentee ballots, likely could be our winner tonight for Ward 5. Matt Hummel in the newsroom. Matt, thank you. I want to get to Rory Polero, who's joining me in studio now. And Rory, you're taking a look at the propositions on the statewide ballot.
Yes, there was a lot of, at least from what I heard, a lot of local opposition to these things. But yet they all, across the state right now, all of them are passing. The first one is an amendment for the apportionment and redistricting process, and that's winning 209,000 to 124,000. And the second one is the constitutional right in the state to air, clean water, and a healthful environment, and that's up 70% to 14%. Although opponents of it said that it was going to be used later on as part of the global warming thing, and that's why there were people who, because you would think, well, who's against clean air? But that was the argument against that, but it's winning huge. To eliminate the 10-day advance voter registration requirement is up 51 to 32, and authorizing no excuse absentee ballot voting, which is very popular across a lot of states, that's 51% to 32% passing. And the other one, which really doesn't affect us here, is the jurisdiction of the New York City Civil Court. And that's winning 50-something to 30-something. So I do want to point out one race we've been watching has turned around, and that is David Wilfong's race. He's up 2-1 now in that race, which is kind of a surprise considering he'd been running behind most of the way. But he's now up 418 to 254 over Robert Whitney Jr.
Do we know how many districts are reporting in the District 11 race so far?
Two out of 4.
Okay, 2 out of 4.
But he's up 60% to 36%.
So definitely something to watch there. A sizable lead, nevertheless. And I know Wilfong for a long time has held District 11 here in the city of Jamestown, and as we mentioned throughout the broadcast, he was not able to seek re-election in that seat because he was running for mayor in 2019. So very well, now that more votes are starting to come in, that could shift in his favor to win re-election.
I think he has a very strong likability factor in his district. And I think he's considered a very easygoing, dependable guy, and I think he's like Kim Eklund, and of course like Mr. Rabb before him. Those are people you see as staples locally in the election. They're here, and they're always going to be here till they. I used to think for certain that Mr. Rabb was going to end up becoming the mayor after Mr. Teresi, and yet it just goes to show you every vote matters. You got to get out and you got to exercise your franchise.
Gentlemen, I want to cut in here too. Just. Shifting over to Ward 4 here in the city of Jamestown, all 3 districts in that ward have reported incumbent Democrat Marie Karuba has a 65-vote lead over Republican challenger Ricky Lardo there. So again, absentee ballots could play a role there, but right now it does look like Marie Karuba is close to victory there. Again, absentee ballots will make that official, but I did want to make that point there for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Projected winner there, likely in that ward. And Karuba, I believe, past council president for a time when the Democrats held their majority.
Yep.
I know we were talking about that earlier tonight. Would it return to her if they we won that majority? But definitely we will continue to see her on the city council as well. So, of course, there is so much more that we are talking about this election night as we approach the 10 o'clock hour, as we track and report as many races as we can here in Chautauqua County and the city of Jamestown. When we come back, we'll check in live with our locations in Mayville and Dunkirk as we await word from the candidates as some of these races begin to be called. You're watching live election night coverage on WNY News Now.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
How prepared is your family if a hurricane shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a blizzard? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back to WNY News Now live election night coverage. I'm Justin Gould. We have a lot new information to report to you as we enter the 10 o'clock hour. We thank you for joining us. Let's first get to our Julia Gress, who's joining us live from the city of Dunkirk tonight at the Democratic viewing party. She's joined by Democratic challenger Norm Green, who is quite behind in the county executive race. Julia?
One is Natalie Marty, one is winning by 2 votes. So that's going to go to a recount.
Thanks, Justin. Yeah, like you said, we're here with Norm Green. We've got about 70 of the 102 polling places reporting, with Norm Green a little bit behind. Can we get your reaction?
Well, more than a little bit behind, and I have called P.J. Wendell and conceded the race. He deserves my congratulations. I'm proud of the volunteers that helped us with this election. I'm proud of the Democratic Party in Chautauqua County, and and we will be back.
Great. So moving forward, you're saying you're going to run again in the future?
No. I'm saying the party will be back.
All right.
I apologize. It wasn't the loyal. It wasn't me. But we'll definitely find great candidates, and we'll continue to do what we're supposed to do and be the loyal opposition.
Right. And what's next for you? Do you have any future plans?
I'm going to go to Disney World.
All right, that sounds good. Take me with you. All right, back to you, Justin.
All right, Julia, so as we are able to accurately
thank you so much.
call
You're welcome. You have a great night.
Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell will retain his spot against Democratic challenger Norm Green, who just conceded in the race for county executive this evening. And when looking at the tallies here this evening, Rory, the executive race, it seems like it's really been favoring this incumbent Republican.
it was never, even with early voting, which often favors the Democrats, it was never even close. I mean, when the early voting came in, there was instantly a 500 vote gap, and every time we refreshed the results, it was another 200 or 300 votes coming in. And so Wendell's winning big, I mean, 23% to 73%. And I'm trying to find out if that's the biggest victory in the county history for a county executive. But the county clerk race is running much the same way. And actually, Larry Barmore is only a few hundred votes behind Mr. Wendell's total. And so, you tend to think of the leader of the party at the county level as the county executive. But Mr. Barmore is only 900 votes behind Mr. Wendell's total. And that was another race that really was over as soon as the votes started coming in.
Yeah, so certainly it looks like at least the two top seats for tonight for county executive and county clerk, I'd say, at this moment, fair to call that the Republicans will be retaining their position. I want to get to you, Matt, because I know we do have some breaking news in regards to the city of Jamestown and a very important ward when it comes to the conversation of tackling the city's urban deer population.
Absolutely there,
Holy
Justin. And forgive me, we got a lot of things going here at the control room. But yes, in Ward 6, Andrew Faulkner, Republican challenger, has defeated incumbent councilman Thomas Nelson. Mr. Faulkner is up by a 60 vote margin. Again, of course, we have absentee ballots, but it is safe to say it appears Mr. Faulkner will win Ward 6 there. And then again at Ward 5, we have Grant Olson as the projected winner there. At Ward 4, of course, Marie Kruba, we have her projected by 71 votes there over Ricky Lardo. Now here, Justin, also too, where it gets interesting is Ward number 3. And that's because incumbent Regina Brackman, yes, she has an 11 vote lead over Robert Reedy, Republican. But here's the deal. We've got those absentee ballots, and a difference of 11, that is much smaller than a difference of the race.
Like 1 minute, you said?
4. Yeah, it really is. I think that's definitely going to be too close to call this evening, and that is a big race, because with the death of former Councilwoman James, it could have gone either way, and Mr. Reedy and Ms. Brackman will likely wake up tomorrow not knowing who has won that spot. Our Matt Hummel, thank you. I want to get out to the field now, where our Bronson Rasmussen joins us live with Mr. Faulkner, who is our declared winner for the race, our projected winner this evening. Bronson?
No, not Eddie. I'm talking about Eddie.
Oh yeah, thank you, Justin. Well, you have been declared a projected winner. How does that just make you feel?
It was, I was pretty good, and then earlier I got a little anxious once I voted and got home and knew that I did everything I could do. And tonight here, nervous, refreshing. I set my phone down, and then somebody came up and said congratulations and showed me their phone, and I had it, and I can't even explain it. All the hard work paid off, and I'm excited to start the real work now.
Oh yeah, I'm just sitting here listening to everything going on, just trying to figure out where the races are going. Next thing I know, I hear everyone screaming, "You won!" Just all of a sudden, out of nowhere. How did you expect this to happen?
I was really, really confident, but you can never be too confident, because the people you talk to, you're going to think it's going well, but I guess it worked out in my favor this time.
Is there anything that you'd want to say to your competitor?
So I want to be available to everybody. Once I'm on the council, my Facebook's going to stay up, obviously my campaign page, my phone number's on there if anybody needs to talk to me. I'm just excited to talk to more people and see what we can do.
And your just message to the people?
I want to, like I said, I want to be available. I want to be there for everybody if they have an issue. I want to try to help them with that. I want to maybe guide them to where they need to be if they've got an issue that I can't help them with, and just excited to see what we can do.
Well, thank you for joining us here today, and congratulations on everything that's going on. Justin, back to you.
All right, Bronson, and what we can say, Councilman-elect Andrew Faulkner joining us live from Mayville tonight. Certainly a lot of big races, and in addition to the county races and the city races that we're watching, Rory, I know one of them, which we've highlighted, is for Chautauqua County Legislature in the Frewsburg area. What can you report there?
Well, that's District 16, and that's the only county legislature race we have this year that has 3 candidates. And the Republican John Davis is way ahead. He's got 1,326 votes. But the surprise out of here is that the Libertarian candidate, Garrett Kane, is actually running second, about 4 points ahead of Dustin Carvella. It's a 77-vote lead with all 5 districts reporting. So absentee ballots could play a part, but actually the only Libertarian candidate in the race this year is actually in second, which has never, to my knowledge, happened in this county before.
Yeah, and that definitely will be something that we're going to continue to keep our eyes on, because you have 3 people running for one office. You and I both know this very well, that a lot can happen. The margins...
All you need is 34%.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure, for sure. So we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now live election coverage as we continue to monitor races across Chautauqua County. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
Remember when you were a kid, huddled around the television waiting for your school to close? Well, we don't get snow days. When winter weather hits, count on the First Defense Weather Team for a look into the future where the snow is headed next. Live radar showing you the scope of the storm, and real-time reports from the field. So when it matters most, stay with First Defense Weather.
Catch your First Defense forecast daily on WNY News Now. With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Welcome back to WNY News Now election coverage. I'm Justin Gould. We have more races that we're able to call now. Let's go to our Matt Hummel, who's live for us in the newsroom. I know we have a big development in regards to that at-large race for Jamestown City Council, Matt.
Yes, we do. Here we go. Just a heads up, all 19 districts in the city of Jamestown have reported. So, number one right now is Kim Eklund, who currently has 2,200 votes. Number two is Republican Jeff Russell, who has about 1,950 votes. Third, Randy DeVersa has 1,780. Now keep in mind again, we have absentee ballots still, but in fourth place, pretty far behind, is Democrat Ellen DeTanto at 1,400. Then Christina Cardinale is down at 1,262, and Alyssa Porter has 1,109. So, barring some sort of miracle here for the Democrats, it appears the Republicans are going to sweep the at-large. They've also, they appear to have Ward 6 in the bag for them, as well as Ward 5. Ward 4 will likely be in Democrat control with Marie Karuba. Ward 3, we're not going to know tonight. That is going to be interesting there. And Ward 1 and 2, of course, Brent Sheldon and Tony Doles, respectively, will be retained with the Republicans. So a big night for the city Republicans here in Jamestown. And it seems like after a little bit of a slow start here, they've got the county-wide races too. We'll see what happens, though.
Yeah, and that's definitely, I think, when you look at the layout, especially for that at-large race, I think when you put your pulse on it and your finger on the pulse and you say to yourself, okay, how will this shape the makeup if it all shifted to Democrats? And in this case, shifting to Republicans, where before, if you remember, Eklund, Russell, the two Republicans at large, and then Tamu Graham-Reinhardt, who chose not to seek re-election, a Democrat. Now that's shifting to Mr. DeVersa. I think it's very interesting to see. Obviously, we still need to count the absentee ballots, but when you look at the stretch of that lead, I think it's appropriate to confirm the projected winners from WNY News Now. And Matt, it looks like at this point that will likely retain the Republican majority on the council.
Absolutely. And real quick too, Justin, just while we're talking about the city of Jamestown, at the county level, here at District 11, all districts, of course, have reported. Dave Wilfong has a 200-vote lead there. Looks like he's going to get that seat. District 12, Elizabeth Rankin, a 300-vote lead. Looks like she'll retain her seat there. It basically, the Republicans had a big night here in the city of Jamestown, both on the council and with the county legislature.
Yeah, absolutely. Rory, your thoughts as we see these races come
I'm
down.
looking at County Legislature District 18 right now, and Republican Martin Proctor has about a 300-vote margin over Bill Ward. And so pending absentee votes, I almost think you could call that race for Mr. Proctor. And it does seem like the Republicans had a stronger night than maybe a lot of people expected. And I guess, does this portend what's going to happen in the elections next year? Is this a backlash? Is this just the way it fell out? Because it does seem to be trending more Republican across the board in most of the races.
Absolutely, and looking next year briefly too, because I know we were going to talk about this, gentlemen, at some point. Come on, we're going to have state assembly, and of course Congress too. So, yeah, Rory, you've made an excellent point there.
Well, do we not also have Congress next year?
Yes,
correct.
And the incumbent's not running, so. Who is it?
That could be anybody.
Who do the parties pick?
Right, that's still the question at this point
Yes.
is who are these candidates? I want to real quickly, because I know we're able to confirm a few other races countywide as well. District 4, In northern Chautauqua County, it looks like Susan Parker, obviously pending any absentees, is our projected winner tonight over Christine Starks, who, if you look at the asterisks, is actually the incumbent candidate there. Parker with 460 votes over Starks 227 votes, all districts reporting in. And then District 8, as we see here, we see Pierre Chagnon with quite the lead over his Democratic challenger, Scott Humble, taking up 75% of the vote getters there. And again, there still are a few races, as we mentioned, that we're watching, and one of them that I wanted to see, and I hate to put you guys on the spot, but I wanted to ask about that Town of Carroll supervisor race. That's quite the big one. I know you can probably feverishly scroll down to that.
Well, I'm looking at it right now.
Maybe I can. Where are we at in that moment?
Russell Payne's up 613 to 390 over Laura Smith. And that's with both districts reporting in the town. And Mr. Payne is the incumbent. And he, like I say, he's up 60% to 38%. And I don't know that there'll be enough absentee votes in a small race like that to make a difference. If it was me, I'd project the incumbent with the victory.
All right, sounds so. Mr. Payne, our projected winner there in the Town of Carroll. Again, he faced Mrs. Smith in a primary earlier this year. So definitely lots of races, and I think we've called a majority of them as well. And I believe one that we're still waiting to hear from the incumbent Republican and the incumbent the Democratic challenger David Sally, where Chautauqua County Clerk, and I apologize, there's an error on your screen. There we go. That's more correct. Mr. Barmore is the projected winner, as we mentioned earlier in the evening, in that race. And his data, this was interesting, we pointed this out, was very close to the executive race in the separation of numbers. So
well, that could be too, Justin. I mean, definitely the party thing too, but I mean, they were right next to each other on the ballot. Is that a thing, do you think?
I agree. I think placement's important for sure. There's a lot of people who will vote based on their party line. They will, follow the docket all the way down. So I think
historically, this happens, though it's a lot of importance because during the last governor's race, there were some complaints because Larry Sharp, the Libertarian candidate, was put on the same line as another third-party candidate. They were on the same actual line.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that confused a lot of voters because they weren't able to just sweep down the line and vote all the way across for the Green Party or whatever party it was.
Right.
And they conceivably, it cost Larry Sharp a lot of votes. And gave a lot of votes to the other candidate because they had her name, then his, next to each other on the same line.
I see. Well, yeah,
Now,
so I think that is the thing.
We have, I'm just looking at the city of Dunkirk.
Yes.
And their council at large right now, it's really close with all 12 in, but it looks like Republican Dave D'Amico has about 100 vote lead over Nick Weiser. And it looks like in the Dunkirk ward races, because I know we have viewers up in Dunkirk who may be wondering, Natalie Luchkowiak, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, is the Democrat who was up by 200 and some votes for Ward 1. Ward 2 is extremely close. Martin Bamonto has 1,038, and Republican Linda Stalinsky has 1,056. So that's only an 18-vote gap. The Republican James Stoyle is well up in district or city council Ward 3 by about 400 votes, and Republican Nancy Nichols leads Ward 4 by about 360 votes.
Mr. Rory, I want to take us quickly now to Dunkirk, where we're hearing from David Sally, the Democratic candidate for Chautauqua County Clerk.
UAW and the Polish American Civic Society of Western New York for their endorsements. It's been a hard race. I learned to talk to a lot of people in person, on the phone, emails, commentary on my media blogs. I've learned what they want from changes and Chautauqua County, and I'm not going to be the one to implement those changes, but I've made those changes known in my blog, in interviews, and those changes are now out there. My opponent knows what people want, so hopefully he'll make those changes, and if not, I'm going to be behind him, pushing him. So, thank you. I appreciate all the work you've done for me.
Thank you, Dave. And I would like to ask my very dear friend, Mayor Rosas, we do all have a tremendous amount of thanks. He's the host with the most. And thank you for letting us use your facility for this victory speech.
All right, so there you have it. David Sally conceding there in the race for Chautauqua County Clerk. When we come back, we will take a roundtable look at all of the races which we have been successfully able to call this evening and the ones that still stand out. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues on this election.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
Welcome to Honest John's Pizzeria, where you are the most important customer.
Everything from freshly made subs to the best of pizza and wings, Honest John's has it all.
And don't forget the ice cream!
Order online today or check out our 2 great locations with buffets ready for every appetite.
Don't I have the best job in the world?
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
What could you lose in a home fire? Your possessions? Your home? Your memories? Don't let your world go up in smoke. Make sure you have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones, because fire is everyone's fight.
This message was brought to you by the Jamestown Fire Department and the Chautauqua Safety Village.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Welcome back to WNY News Now live election night coverage. I'm Justin Gould. If you're just joining us for the first time this evening, Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell has retained his seat. He's our projected winner for the night over Democratic challenger Norm Green. We're also able to call this evening the county clerk race, where incumbent Republican Larry Barmore has bested a Democratic challenger, David Sally. As we work our way through the county legislative race, let's start with District 11 here in the city of Jamestown, where Republican challenger Dave Wilfong, but if you note, Wilfong is an incumbent candidate. If you look at his past record in that race, not in this specific year, because in 2019 he was running for re-election, or had to run in the mayoral race and not able to run for re-election. But according to our statistics, Wilfong, our projected winner. Another projected winner in what seems to be an easily won race for Republican incumbent Elizabeth Rankin is District 12 here in the city of Jamestown. We're also able to call District 18 in Chautauqua County, where it appears that the incumbent Republican Bill Ward is bested by Republican challenger Martin Proctor. If you remember, Proctor won in the June primary election. Ward then ran on the Democratic ticket. Off to northern Chautauqua County now, where Susan Parker has upset incumbent Democrat Christine Starks, who's running on the Working Families line over Parker. And in that race, Parker won over Starks in the June Democratic primary. The Chautauqua County Legislative Chairman Pierre Chagnon has won over Democratic challenger Scott Humboldt. And in the Jamestown district, we have Marie Karuba, who has won over a Republican challenger, Rick Ilardo. And in what was a surprise to many here in Jamestown, in Ward 5, Grant Olson, who has announced that he will not seek re-election, but is still listed on the ballot due to timing, has apparently, according to our stats, won. And he is our projected winner for the evening over Douglas Lawson. That means if Mr. Olson decides that he will indeed not serve this term, Jamestown Mayor Eddie Sundquist must appoint someone from his own party. And in what was another surprise for many of us, in Ward 6, Andrew Faulkner upsetting Democrat incumbent Thomas Nelson. In that race, Faulkner declared victory to our Bronson Rasmussen a little while ago. I want to bring on our panel of experts right now. We have Rory Polero and Matt Hummel joining us tonight. And Rory, I want to start with you.
Yes, sir.
And I want to take a look at the District 16 race. I know that we were just discussing that. At this point, it appears to still be too close to call.
Let me get there. Yeah, we're looking at, you're talking County Legislature 16?
Yes.
Not too close to call, actually.
No.
John Davis has 1,326 votes. Garrett Kane's second with 270. And then Dustin Carvella with 193. So it's too close to call as to whether Garrett Kane is going to make Chautauqua County history by being a Libertarian who came in second.
Okay, gotcha. But
it's a big night to be a Republican in this county because they've got 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 59 to 9 in the races I've counted so far have gone Republican.
So we can accurately say then that John Davis for District 16 is our projected winner?
Yeah, he's got 72% of the vote with all 5 districts reporting.
All right, Mr. Polero, thank you. And now
Yes,
I want
sir.
to turn to Matt Hummel, who's at our decision desk in the newsroom. And Matt, I know you've been watching the Jamestown wards very closely. In Ward 3 at this point, still too close to call.
Absolutely. Again, around an 11-vote difference, which is pretty close because we had about, 2,400 absentee ballots sent out. We don't know how many were sent back in, of course. But again, 11 votes. Pretty close at this stage of the game.
Yeah, certainly is. Gentlemen, thank you. And briefly, I wanted to go ahead, Roy.
I'm just wondering if what your guys' take is on District 1, in which Marcus Buchanan has 545 votes, Kevin Muldowney has 637. So if 92 votes difference, that's one that could be too close to call.
Yeah, and Muldowney, the Republican incumbent there, so that's definitely something, a 7% difference there, something that we will continue to watch. I wanted to briefly touch on the ballot proposals statewide, Rory. I know we talked about that during the break, and at this point it looks like they've all passed.
They're all mostly losing in Chautauqua County, other than the Clean Air, Clean Water one. But across the state, out of They've got 6,000 districts out of 15,500 reporting, and every one of them is passing rather easily, rather overwhelmingly. They're getting. It seems like they're getting a lot of support at the end, the East Coast end of the state, New York, Long Island, Brooklyn, the Bronx, places like that, and that seems to be where they're getting their strength. Because I know in the rural counties they don't seem to be faring as well, but that's, you roll the dice when you live in New York because New York City controls it.
Yeah, definitely, and that's when you look at the outcome of it. I know we'll have more as we break that down with statewide numbers. When you look at statewide races, if folks are new to the political game, there are a lot at play. Some Board of Elections offices are not as updated as ours is, where we can get these results back in, an hour and a half period, and we're able to call many of these elections. Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell, as our top race of the night, has won re-election. If we can take this live control room, yeah, thank you. He is looking at the board as their party wraps up there at Webb's in Mayville, and Executive Wendell is our projected winner this evening. Our Bronson Rasmussen is standing by live there in Mayville for us this evening as he prepares to speak with Executive Wendell. You see as well Chautauqua County Clerk Larry Barmore tonight. It looks like they're trying to take an image in front of the projected winning screen. And when you look at this in politics, gentlemen, I think it's important to know that for these men, they've worked hard in these races. So I sure imagine they take pride in being able to win. So as we pull that feed, we will, of course, hear from Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell here in just a little bit. As we have all night long, he was pretty confident, and it looks like he may be. It looks like they might just be taking a few more photos as we await for that. But again, he is our projected winner for County Executive, along with Chautauqua County Clerk Larry Barmore.
Are you surprised how one-sided both these races turned out?
A little bit. I think when you look at a race like the executive race, it really is an interesting dynamic that plays out for so many people because this past year has been so unprecedented, right? When you look at COVID, some of these issues that we've been talking about, and Wendell has said it himself, his hands were tied in some instances with state mandates, which upset a lot of people. But at the same time, he has been a vocal opponent, and he has spoken out, which is part of his campaign of strong leadership and being able to guide the county through the past year.
Well, I wanted to bounce off you because I know you've been interested in this race, and I know Dakota really was too, having lived there. But as of right now, the Erie County Board of Elections gives write-in votes 11,429, India Walton 6,347. So it's 64% to 36% in the Buffalo mayor's race.
Yeah, so definitely it looks like Byron Brown, the incumbent, maybe has won a write-in campaign. Very possible.
Maybe,
you still have to
because
factor
we don't
in
know
those absentees.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how many there were in Erie County.
And we don't know how many write-ins went for Byron Brown. They could have picked Terry Pagula.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to pick him with the stadium thing looming over their heads.
Well, good point, but I mean, just in general. I mean,
yeah, no, I mean, yeah, they could have voted for Ed Rakowski. I mean, yeah, we don't know.
Josh Allen. Now we're going too far. We're going too far.
Yeah, I don't know his views on the Second Amendment. I can't just assume to vote for him.
Well, Josh Allen, his vaccine stance feels like it should be a personal choice. So
are we going up a rabbit hole?
Good thing he doesn't play for the NBA. They'll send him home.
That's very true. Very true. All right, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure with you
this
evening, and we thank you.
It's been exciting.
The viewer, for tuning in as another election year is in the books. We're able to confirm many races. If you missed what we talked about, don't worry, because news continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com. For my colleagues, Rory Polero, Matt Hummel, Julia Gress, Bronson Rasmussen, our Lee Kane, and the many crew members who made this evening possible, I'm Justin Gould. Thank you for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you back here tomorrow for News Now at noon as we recap all of these races and hear directly from the candidates.
Good night.